My name is Olivia Wilson, and I'm 32. Every corner of my life is measured, scheduled, color-coded. Morning coffee, late-night spreadsheets, weekend meal prep. Order is my sanctuary. But with family, order is always an illusion. I'm also 8 months pregnant. My sonogram says I'm carrying a girl, a tiny being who flutters beneath my ribs like a secret heartbeat. I cradle my belly, imagining the world I'll give her. But the world around me, my family, is a tempest I've tried too long to calm. From the start, I was the responsible one. My younger brother, Max, 30, charming but perpetually in chaos, still crashes on friends' couches while chasing a podcast empire. My older sister, Jenna, 33, beautiful and dazzling on Instagram, divorced young and somehow convinced the world she didn't need stability. Mom. Well, Mom always believed in appearances over reality, and there I was, quietly holding the threads together. It started with small requests. Cover Mom's gas bill because her pension check came late, pay Jenna's rent when she fell behind again, buy Ellie's dance shoes, summer camp deposit, school trip fees, over and over. I said yes every time, not because I had excess, but because they always had less. I thought that was love. But then I got pregnant, and suddenly the love seemed conditional. When I told them, their congratulations were polite but distant. Wow, congrats, Jenna typed, tossing an emoji like a shrug. Max didn't even bother. Mom's voice over the phone was gentle but dismissive. Baby showers are more for first children. My first child, I thought. Silence. I offered, as always, to handle logistics. I bought pastel decorations, an affordable registry of diapers, bottles, a crib. I asked my friend Mia if I could host at her place, and she said yes. Then I sent the invite in the family group chat, heart tight with hope. Nothing. Weeks passed. When I followed up, Jenna replied with a single eye roll emoji. Max left me on scene. Mom texted, "We'll see. That weekend's a bit hectic, honey." That weekend, they were at Anna's baby shower, fully catered, balloons towering, coordinated outfits, laughter echoing. I scrolled through Instagram, stomach tightening. They weren't just absent, they were making a statement. My baby, my joy, my excitement didn't matter. I stood in my kitchen, one hand on my belly, the other on my phone, breath caught somewhere between a laugh and a sob. 34 weeks pregnant, back aching, swollen feet, and I realized the depth of their indifference. I did the only thing I could. I left the group chat, no goodbye, no explanation, just left. Then I began quietly dismantling the financial scaffolding I had spent years building for them. Automatic payments to Mom? Canceled. Venmo transfers to Jenna for Ellie's dance classes? Declined. AT&T, Spotify, Netflix, all gone. The next morning, chaos bloomed. Max's Wi-Fi died mid-game. Netflix froze mid-movie. Jenna's phone lit up with a frantic call about Ellie's Zoom class. Mom called, voice trembling. "Sweetie, this behavior is concerning. We're your family. You don't punish people you love." I sipped tea on my balcony, the baby shifting beneath my ribs, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. It's not that I didn't care. I always had. I had been the backbone, the dependable sibling, the angel everyone loved to rely on. But love, I discovered, is a fragile thing when it's built on expectation and entitlement. By the time I announced my pregnancy, I had already spent $188,000 covering their necessities over the years. Max's Spotify, gym memberships, phone bills, Jenna's rent, dance lessons, and summer camp, Mom's utilities. I never counted precisely after a while. I just did it. I was invisible in my giving. And yet, when it was my turn to be seen, to be celebrated, to be nurtured, my family turned their backs. I realized that the polite, dismissive reactions, the empty congratulations, the selective attention, they weren't mistakes. They were a pattern, a choice. And I, for decades, had silently enabled it. That night, I went through my registry one more time. Each item represented not just preparation for my daughter, but a small declaration of independence. I could provide for my child. I could create love that wasn't conditional. I could exist outside the suffocating expectations of my family. I sat on the couch, warm tea in hand, belly softly rising and falling with my baby's movements. And I smiled. Not a happy, easy smile, a hard, sharp smile, the kind that comes when you've realized your own worth, when the weight of years finally falls from your shoulders. For the first time, I understood that freedom begins with saying no. The next morning, the consequences of my silence unfolded like dominoes. Max's phone buzzed incessantly, apps failing mid-use. His Wi-Fi froze again. Spotify refused to log him in. He shot me a text, sharp and confused. Yo, what's going on? Did you cancel everything on purpose? Yes, I thought. That was the idea. Jenna called 5 times in an hour, panic dripping through her voice. Ellie has a school Zoom today, and the Target card. I had groceries in the cart. What is happening? Mom left a voicemail, her voice tight with reproach and fear. Sweetie, this isn't fair. We didn't know you'd... Please, this behavior is concerning. I didn't respond. For the first time in my life, I watched the chaos from the outside, sipping tea on the balcony, babies shifting gently beneath my ribs. They scrambled, they panicked. They felt the vacuum I had spent decades filling. And I felt relief. It wasn't vengeance, it wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. For years, I had been their bank, their assistant, their safety net. Max's Spotify, gym memberships, phone bills, Jenna's rent, school fees, dance classes, Mom's utilities, car repairs. Every time I helped, they called me an angel. But gratitude evaporated over time. What remained was entitlement, a quiet expectation that I would always give. Now I had drawn a line. I reflected on the absurdity. I had spent 11 months paying Jenna's rent straight, covering Ellie's summer camps, school fees, and dance lessons, all while she posted endless brunch pictures online. I had bled money into Max's chaotic life, while he barely acknowledged my existence. And Mom, always polishing appearances, believed I existed to fund their failures. The quiet rebellion was working. Max texted again. Wi-Fi down, Netflix won't load, gym app says I'm suspended. This is on purpose, right? Yes, Max. Every cent, every account, every subscription. It was a mirror reflecting how they had treated me for years. Jenna barged into my apartment later that day, storming like she owned the place. You're so dramatic. All of this for a baby shower? Grow up. I rested my hand on my belly, the baby kicking gently. It's not about the party, I said, voice calm but sharp. It's about the fact that I'm 34 weeks pregnant and none of you thought I, or my child, deserved to be celebrated. Not one RSVP, not one call, not one thought. She paused, flushed, but said nothing. Mom's voice rose from the doorway, pleading, guilt-tripping, desperate. Think about the baby. She needs a family. I looked her straight in the eye. Better alone than surrounded by people who only love me when I'm useful. The room went silent. I could feel their shock, confusion, disbelief. For once, the power wasn't theirs. Even in silence, I could sense the ripple effect. Max flinched every time he checked his phone. Jenna's anxiety was palpable, her carefully curated Instagram reality suddenly meaningless without my constant financial cover. Mom's voice faltered, unsure how to manipulate me. For the first time, I wasn't apologizing. I wasn't justifying. I wasn't giving them another opportunity to take from me. Instead, I felt free. And the baby moved beneath my ribs, a gentle affirmation. This was the right choice. I spent the evening alone in the apartment, tea warm in my hands, lights low. The air smelled faintly of vanilla from a candle I never bothered to light before. They would have interrupted it anyway. I thought about the years I had been the backbone, the angel, the fixer, the silent giver. I had spent so long bending, giving, sacrificing, and for what? They never really saw me. Not until I stopped being available. Not until I held my boundaries. The quiet revolution wasn't flashy. There were no dramatic confrontations yet. Just the subtle, devastating power of absence. The chaos of entitlement colliding with the reality of no more handouts. And I watched it unfold with a detached satisfaction, a small, private victory. I realized something profound. Freedom isn't loud. It's calm. It's measured. It's watching the people who never valued you scramble when you finally value yourself. That night, I sipped tea on the balcony again. The city lights blurred in the distance. My baby shifted under my hand. And for the first time in years, I felt entirely, unashamedly alive. This was just the beginning. The storm had started, and the family I had built my life around would soon feel the consequences of ignoring the woman they thought would always be invisible. 2 days later, the storm arrived at my doorstep. Mom called sharply, her voice rehearsed and tight. "We're coming over tonight, all of us. We need to talk." No greetings, no concern for my pregnancy, no gentle questions. Just, "We need to talk." I had already predicted the speeches, the guilt, the manipulations, but for once, I was ready. At 6:04 p.m., they arrived like a hurricane. Mom stormed in without meeting my eyes. Jenna tossed her designer purse onto the couch like it had insulted her. Max slouched in, hoodie pulled low, trying to look casual, but I could see the tension behind his smugness. They didn't ask to sit, didn't ask how I was doing. They just assumed control of my living room. "Let's just get to the point," Mom said, arms crossed, voice sharp. "This whole silent treatment, canceling payments, it's childish. We're shocked. Shocked." I raised an eyebrow. "You're shocked I stopped paying for everything?" Max leaned forward, annoyed. "Yeah, seriously. The Wi-Fi's off, Netflix won't load, my gym app says I'm suspended. Did you cancel everything on purpose?" "Yes, Max," I said, cold. That was the idea. Jenna snorted. "Ugh, are you still on about that baby shower? It's just a party. Get over it." I stood, hand resting on my belly. It's not about the party. It's about being 34 weeks pregnant and realizing my family decided it wasn't worth showing up. Not one RSVP, not one thought, not 1 ounce of care. Mom raised a hand like a judge trying to silence a courtroom. "We didn't mean anything by it. Baby showers are usually for first babies." "I know," I said, voice cutting through the tension. "And you all knew that. Yet you showed up for Anna's shower last weekend, balloons, buffet, matching outfits, and ignored mine." 2 days later, Jenna sent a Venmo request for $180. Max was asking me to fix Mom's phone bill. I looked at them in disbelief. "Oh, please," Jenna rolled her eyes. "Don't act like a victim. You've always been the generous one. What now? You want a cookie for helping out?" I laughed, but not a kind laugh. It was sharp, brittle. "Generosity? Let's talk about that." I listed it all, calmly but with razor precision. Jenna, 11 months of rent, school fees, summer camp, dance classes, while flaunting brunches and gel nails online. Max, phone bills, Spotify, gym memberships, Uber credits. You texted me, "Yo, run Stu, handle it," like I was your assistant, not your sister. Mom, utilities, bills, car repairs, always framed as me being blessed to help. Their faces paled. Then, from the corner, Cousin Lisa spoke. She had been silent until now. "I was on your side," she said, voice shaking. This is disgusting. You act like she's an ATM and punish her for saying no." Mom snapped, "Lisa, don't get involved." "I am involved," Lisa said, standing and grabbing her purse. "I see how you've treated her, and I won't be part of it. Goodbye." She left. Silence fell like a stone. Mom's face pinched with anger and guilt. "Think about your baby. She needs a family. Are you really going to raise her alone without us?" I met her eyes steadily. Better alone than surrounded by people who only love me when I'm useful. They left like a funeral procession. No doors slammed, no shouting, just absence. That night, I stood in the dark kitchen, holding a warm cup of tea against my belly. My baby rolled gently beneath my hand, and for the first time in years, I felt something wild, something untethered. The storm had passed, the wreckage was everywhere, but this time it wasn't mine to clean. The days that followed were quiet, but not peaceful for them. Max's texts came fast and frantic. "Wi-Fi down, Netflix dead, my gym app, suspended again, fix this." Jenna's calls piled up, voicemail after voicemail, pleading, panicking, threatening. "You've made your point. Are you happy? Ellie's devastated. Mom's crying. Max is losing it." I didn't respond. Mom's text tried a different tactic. Guilt. "We didn't realize how deeply you were hurt, but cutting us off isn't the solution. Please, just tell me what we did wrong." I listened silently, then deleted each message. They weren't my problems anymore. They were the consequences of their own choices. For the first time in years, I wasn't responsible for their chaos. That weight, the invisible ledger of debts, favors, and emotional labor. I had carried it for decades. Now it was gone. I spent my evenings in a new rhythm, tea in hand, belly rising and falling, soft music playing, nursery half prepared. My thoughts wandered not to their failures, but to the life I was building. Support appeared in unexpected ways. Mia, my best friend, came over twice a week, helping assemble the crib, washing baby clothes, offering advice and laughter. Lisa, my cousin, texted daily, sharing memes, baby name ideas, and reminders to drink water. Her presence reminded me I wasn't entirely alone. Kevin, Jenna's ex, showed up with a box of baby clothes. Ellie picked these, he said, eyes steady. She knows someone cared. I held the tiny outfits, tracing the seams, and felt something I hadn't in years. Connection without obligation, love without strings attached. Meanwhile, my family's chaos unfolded without me. Max spiraled online, posting about fake family and the dangers of money changing people. Jenna lost her job and blamed HR, though I suspected deep down she knew it was her own recklessness. Mom stopped calling, finally understanding I wasn't coming back. Not to the group chat, not to their table, not to the endless ledger of favors owed. I didn't gloat. I didn't taunt. I simply existed in a life I had chosen for myself, and it felt strangely wild, strange, and freeing. By week 2, the world around me seemed quieter, more manageable. The registry I had once abandoned now received anonymous gifts: diapers, onesies, a new baby monitor. People who cared in real ways were showing up, and it was enough. Every night, I stood in the nursery, imagining my daughter's tiny hands on the mobile spinning above her crib. Clouds drifted lazily, moons glowed softly, and for the first time, I felt human again. Not a bank, not a safety net, not invisible, but wholly myself. The silence of my family wasn't loneliness, it was liberation. Weeks turned into months, and with each passing day, my life felt lighter. The constant buzzing of obligations, the endless spreadsheets in my head tallying who owed what, who needed what, I didn't carry them anymore. I woke up to quiet mornings, the sun spilling across the nursery, baby kicks beneath my hand reminding me of the life I was creating. No guilt-laden text, no panicked calls from people who only loved me when I served them, no endless ledger of favors. Just me, my child, and a peace I had never known. Even my family's attempts to re-enter my life were now predictable. Jenna would send the occasional vague message, "Hope you're doing okay. Ellie misses you." I didn't respond. I didn't punish her. I didn't need to. Silence was my answer. Max went fully victim mode online. His posts about fake family, money-changing people, and his unfair treatment barely registered with me. Without my constant support, he faced his own chaos. Mom stopped calling altogether. Finally, she understood I wasn't returning. Not to the group chat, not to family dinners, not to a system of expectations I had refused to uphold. Meanwhile, the life I chose flourished. Mia was a constant, her laughter filling the apartment as we folded tiny clothes or assembled the crib. Lisa's texts kept me connected to someone who truly understood me. Memes, baby name ideas, reminders to drink water, and words of encouragement. Kevin brought small gestures of kindness, baby clothes, advice, subtle support, without ever demanding anything in return. I realized slowly that family doesn't have to be blood. Family can be chosen, nurtured by trust, love, and respect rather than obligation. At night, I would stand in the nursery, watching the crib gently spin, the mobile clouds and moons casting soft shadows on the walls. My daughter would kick, rolling slightly under my hand, as if approving of the freedom I had carved out for her. I had walked through years of fire, been told I was selfish, cold, too much. I had been used, guilt-tripped, erased. And yet, I survived. Better yet, I thrived. I stopped apologizing for it. If my daughter ever asks about her family one day, I'll tell her the truth. Blood is not always love. Kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. Being strong doesn't mean being a sacrificial lamb. You are never required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Saying no is not cruelty, it is survival. I had learned to love myself fiercely, without compromise, without fear, without apology. And in the quiet moments standing in the nursery, I felt something profound. I had reclaimed my life, my child, and my peace. Not because anyone forgave me, not because anyone understood, but because I chose it. I was whole, I was mine, and for the first time, I understood what it meant to be truly free.